What's going on, everybody? When times are good, everything goes up in value. Homes, the stock market, commodities, sports cards. But when times are bad, that's when you really can tell what the belief behind different investments or different items is. If things come crashing down, then maybe the people who put money into something didn't really believe in it. But if when things are bad, it's fairly stable, then you can see what people truly believe about the value of something. So we just got out of, or some people would say we're in the middle of, a pretty big downturn in sports cards. And if you look over the last 2 years since the peak, we'd mostly agree it's from 2021 is when things really peaked before they started coming down. We've been in a little bit of a slide for a couple of years. Now, for me, hasn't slowed me down at all because quite frankly, I'm going to continue to collect whether things are going up in value or down. But what we can do is take a look back over the last couple of years and see what areas of the card market have done well, which areas have done awful, and what areas have been somewhere in between. So one of the big debates, one of the things we continue to think about and talk about and analyze is modern versus vintage. The modern collectors say it doesn't matter about Ty Cobb cards because nobody cares about Ty Cobb. People care about Joe Burrow. People care about, Luka Doncic. And I understand that point of view. And people who are vintage card collectors say, these prospects, these young players, they're hyped right now. But over the long haul, those cards are going to come down in value. And I understand that perspective. I understand the perspective that a legendary player, like a Roberto Clemente or a Hank Aaron, are going to have lasting value because they have a lasting legacy. So, what I wanted to do was take a closer look at what the card markets have done over the last 2 years during the bad times. So I went in and I collected some data, and I did it for the 3 major sports. Did it for baseball, I did it for football, and I did it for basketball. And what I did was take a couple of iconic cards of vintage baseball to compare to modern baseball, and vintage football to compare with modern football, and vintage basketball to compare with modern basketball, and see during these bad couple of years in the market, how did they perform? Now, I didn't pick a prospect. I picked modern cards of legendary, likely Hall of Famers or already in the Hall of Fame type players, so that we could be comparing legitimate superstars of the modern card market to legitimate superstars of the vintage card market. Doesn't matter if you are a basketball, football, or baseball collector. I cover all of it in this video. And as I've said many times before, when I start a video, whenever I do data collection, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I have so much time invested in the data collection and the data analysis that even if the data showed me nothing, I would still present it in a video because I've just spent too much time on it. So genuinely, I don't know until the very end how the data is going to turn out, or whether the data is going to say something that shocks me or we all already kind of expected. So let's take a look at comparing modern superstar card values to vintage superstar card values of baseball, basketball, and football. Let's take a look.
All right, so first off, we're going to go with a Topps Chrome Kobe Bryant rookie card in a PSA 10 holder. Now, this was a recent sale of the Kobe Bryant rookie card, and this was on eBay that this sale took place. So, this is, if you go to the PSA recent auction finalized price website, this will show you, or this is, the last 5 sales that have been entered. So if we look there, we can see, and there's a little bit of a delay. So the one that just finished that I showed you isn't in there yet, but it's just the most recent 5 that have posted in the PSA database. And the average price is $5,790 of that card. Again, this is the last 5 that have posted in PSA's database. Now, if we were to compare that to the peak time, so we're talking 2021, when the sports card market was really at its highest before the decline, this is the same card and what it was selling for. So yes, that says $50,000 that it had sold for a couple of times back in 2021. So the average price that it sold for was $43,393. Needless to say, it has come down quite a bit. And again, this is not a prospect who was, got into trouble. This is Kobe Bryant. Now, Luka Doncic is the second one. Again, I wanted to pick superstars for their cards. So that was the most recent sale on eBay. And here are the most recent 5 that posted in PSA's auction realized price, which the thing I like about that website is it covers more than just eBay, although all of the auctions in this particular case are eBay auctions. So you can see here the prices of the last 5 that have posted for an average price of $242.76. Now, if we go back to the peak, back into 2021, and we look at the series of 5 at the peak time, there they are there. And again, those are also eBay auctions. These are all PSA 10s. And the price that it was selling for was $17.21 and change. Again, it's come down. We know that the card market has softened over the last couple of years from the peak of 2021. We just want to see how it compares the prices of modern to vintage in all of the sports. So here is an Oscar Robertson, the most recent Oscar Robertson rookie card in a PSA 5 sale. And then the last 5 that have posted to the PSA auction realized price. Now I chose a 5 because it's just kind of a nice card, but a mid-tier card. And there's going to be quite a few sales, so we can actually get a decent average. You choose a different grade, and anything could happen with there being very few sales because there aren't a ton of them. So the average recent price of this Oscar Robertson is $14.54. And then you see here, during the peak, again, I tried to choose recent months and recent periods of 2021, but I am limited to the sales that are out there. So when you're talking about vintage cards, there aren't necessarily a ton of them. So I chose the most appropriate in each case. And again, not to be surprised, the price came way down. Now, the peak was at $34.22 and change, almost $34.23. And now it's at $14.54.80. So again, not to be expected, it has dropped. Another iconic basketball vintage rookie card would be the 1969 Lou Alcindor rookie card. The most recent sale was $13.32 on eBay, and these are the most recent 5 that have posted on PSA's Auction Realize site. So again, kind of in line with the eBay auction that I just showed you, similar at least. You can see in this case 4 of the 5 were eBay auctions of the last 5 auction sales for an average of $15.17.39. So again, we want to look and compare that to the peak time in 2021. Again, I tried to choose similar time frames in 2021. And this is the peak. And you can see again, the prices are much higher. So obviously things have come down in vintage and modern cards. We'll get more into the comparison here in a sec. So again, here are the 5 most recent sales for an average of, 5 sales from the peak for an average of $4,420.20. Again, the card has come way down in value. So let's take a closer look at these 4. So we got the Kobe and the Luka. Those cards averaged an 86% drop in value from the peak. 86% drop. That is massive drop. Both of them were right in line with that 86 average. But then we look at the vintage, and it's way down as well, but not down as far. So when we start talking about how did basketball cards handle the drop in the market, vintage cards have handled it much, much better than the modern cards, like 20% better. So again, this is just basketball, and we're going to take a look across all 3 major sports. So the next one, again, I'm not picking prospects here. I'm picking some of the all-time greats. So a Tom Brady rookie card. That's kind of his main recognizable rookie card. And you can see again the last 5 that have posted in PSA's website. The one that I showed you a moment ago was the most recent sale in eBay. So eventually that will make its way to the PSA website. And there they are. There are the 5 for an average of $2,622. So that card recently, over the last month or 2, is selling for about $26.22. Now, if we look at what it was selling for during the peak, and you'll notice that the peak for the football cards is a little bit different time of year, probably because it's in season versus not in season. But when comparing football to football and basketball to basketball, I chose similar month stretches. 67, 63, 80. So again, it's come way down. Nobody's surprised by that. The thing that we're most interested in is how have modern cards held up compared to vintage, and how have the different sports compared to each other. So the third, or I guess this is our 4th card now, is another all-time great in Peyton Manning and his key rookie card. And you can see his rookie card here. And I chose 9s in these. And when I look, again, fairly similar to that recent eBay sale that I showed you first. And this average of the last 5 of $17.28.31 is still a lot of money, but it's nothing like what it was back during the peak. So we look here at the 5 when football cards were at their highest. And when we look at these, you see that the average was $43.75.20. So again, way down, no surprise. And, again, it's still a lot of money for a Peyton Manning card, which isn't that old, but way down from where it was. So now we got Jim Brown as one of the two vintage cards. Again, I chose all-time great guys for all of the sports. So that was just over $1,600 is the last sale on eBay. And then we take a look at the last 5 that have posted into PSA's website. Again, similar to the price that we saw a second ago. And it's $2,034.40 is the average Jim Brown sale in a 5. And then this is the peak. And again, not to be too surprised that it was higher than it is now. And so when we look at those 5, again, I did the math and found the averages. That's where the averages came from. $29,1974. So it's down almost $1,000, not a little less than $900. But it's down. The second vintage football card I chose was the Johnny Unitas rookie, the most recent in a 5, sold for $671. It's a 57 card. And when we look at the 5 most recent sales in a 5, again, 4 of the 5 are eBay sales. And eBay is always going to have the most auctions just because it's so widely used. But again, I look at these 5, and I found the average for us yet again to see what that card has been selling for. And $719.40 is the average price of a PSA 5 Johnny Unitas rookie card over the last couple of months. But when we go back to 2021, during the peak, during the same similar months of 2021 as the modern football cards, and we look closer at these, again, it's a little bit higher. Not a lot has gone up over the last 2 years. We know that. The average here is $877.10 compared to the average now of $719.40. So the trend is obviously down in now both basketball and football. If we look at the Brady and the Manning, they're averaging down 60%, almost 61%. But if we look at the average down of Jim Brown and Johnny Unitas, it is significantly less than the more modern all-time greats of Brady and Manning. So again, I hear people say nobody cares about those old guys anymore. Nobody watched Johnny Unitas play. Well, Johnny Unitas is only down 18%. Tom Brady, he's down 61%. All right, how about Mike Trout? So again, a couple of iconic baseball modern rookie cards. I got the 2011 Mike Trout. And we got this in a 9. There's just not a ton of 10s, so it would be hard to gather quality data. So we went with 9. And when I look at the cost of the 9 of this card, again, it's still a very expensive card, especially for a card that's, only a dozen years old or so. And it is averaging at $574.79, which is a lot of money. But it is Mike Trout, and it is one of his most recognizable rookie cards, if not his most recognizable rookie card. And then we look at what it was selling for during the peak for baseball back in 2021. Again, generally speaking, the peak was similar to being in season for the sport. And when I look at that card got up to 1626. Again, this is not a numbered card or a special parallel, but it was up to 1626 each, and now is down to 574 and change. The other iconic baseball modern rookie card I chose was Albert Pujols. Again, I wanted superstars. I did not want to go with some sort of, scandal-ridden prospect. And when I look at the Albert Pujols most recent 5 sales, again, still an expensive card. I mean, a sure Hall of Famer. I think most of us would agree. And the average is .324.54. And the 5 during the peak, as the baseball season was getting fired up back then, and the market was as hot as it could be, you can see the prices were much, much higher, up to $12.38 and change. So it's down about $900 now to about $325. It was $900 more than it is now just 2 years ago. So we're going to compare that to 2 vintage rookie cards of all-time greats for baseball, and that's the most recent sale of a PSA 5 Hank Aaron rookie. And these are the most recent 5 that have posted on the PSA website. Again, somewhat in line with the price of the most recent sale. There's always going to be some room because of, anything from having a really well-centered one and a really not well-centered one. The average was $5,500 recently. And now, if you look at what it was selling for back when baseball cards were peaking a couple of years ago, again, not to be surprised, it's more than it is now. In fact, it's about $2,400 more than it is now. So it was selling at about $7,903, and now it's at just about $5,500. So it has certainly dropped, just like every card we've looked at so far. And now our last card we're going to take a look at before we take a look at some of the numbers a little bit closer is that Clemente rookie card, a very popular card. And if we look here, again, we're looking at PSA 5s. The most recent 5s are now in front of us from PSA's database. All of these, again, not surprisingly, from eBay. And all of these, in the last, month or month and a half. $3,395.19 is the average recent sale of a PSA 5 Clemente rookie card. That, again, is a lot of money. And then when we compare that, however, to what it was in 2021, here is that same similar months to where we are but 2 years ago, right? And Clemente's a player that some people think is kind of hot right now, but he's still down, $1,300, $1,250, something like that. And that's a lot of money to be down. So if you bought one a couple of years ago, you're upside down on it, well over $1,000. But everything's down. So when we compare, let's look at the Trout and Pujols. So Trout's rookie is down 65%. Pujols is down 74%. The average is about 69% drop of the modern baseball cards that I selected. Now, again, I randomly selected these. I just said, well, what are some of the iconic rookie cards of the modern cards? And that's what I went with. Hank Aaron and Roberto Clemente are down 30 and 27%. So look at that. About 28, 29% compared to 69%. So the vintage cards seem to have done significantly better in baseball than the modern baseball iconic cards. So now if we look at all of the data, we can even compare the sports. So we look at all of these and go, well, first off, what did the best? The thing that held up the best out of these different categories, out of these 6 categories, the thing that has held up the best over the last 2 years during this down market is vintage football. The next best is vintage baseball. Now, I don't think we're super surprised that vintage baseball did really well, but I think John Mangini might be surprised at how well vintage football did. If we look at what did the worst over the last couple of years, well, modern basketball got crushed. I mean, it is down well over 85%. It's down over 85% in 2 of the most iconic modern basketball cards. And then modern baseball also has gotten hammered. Now, some people say, well, this isn't fair because Mike Trout, he's been hurt and he has had a bad year. But okay, don't disagree, but at the same time, isn't that part of investing and buying modern guys? Tell me your thoughts on this. Anything surprise you? I'm not super surprised if I'm being honest with you, but I definitely found this data very interesting.